Hi, I'm Donna Warren, and I'm director of the Critical Thinking Center at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. And today, I would like to talk a little bit about reason and emotion, because I recently attended the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers, and I found it incredibly thought-provoking. One of the things that Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers said was, we are trying to give the world positive ways of dealing with their feelings. And I thought, that's a wonderful thing to try to do. And I think critical thinking can try to do the same thing. And here's why. Frequently, at least I think in this culture, in the culture of the United States, I'm in Wisconsin, so I think in the culture of North America and the United States at least, there's a tendency to distinguish between reason and emotion, to the extent that if someone is very emotional, we think they're not being rational, and we identify being rational with effectively not having any emotions at all. This is a serious misunderstanding because reason and emotion intimately inform each other. How we feel emotionally often influences how we think, the kind of evidence that most naturally springs to mind, for instance. And how we think often influences how we feel. And it's that second thing that I would like to talk a little bit about today. And here's what I mean. We can think about emotions like I feel happy, or I feel sad, or I feel worried, or I feel angry, as stemming from two really different kinds of mental moods. First, there's a factual claim or a judgment about the way the world actually is, right? So I think that something is the case, or will be the case, or might be the case. And then there's an assessment that I make of that allegedly factual state of affairs to the effect that that's good or that's bad. For instance, I might feel happy because I realize that I have friends, and I also realize that having friends is a good thing. So that's how the emotion of happiness might arise. We can think about that as the architecture or the structural rational underpinnings of that particular instance of happiness. Of course, frequently when we have positive emotions, we don't really worry about what's causing them because we just sort of like the feeling of having positive emotions. But often emotions aren't positive. For instance, I might think, I feel sad. And the emotional or the rational underpinnings for that emotion might be an allegedly factual assessment to the effect that I don't have any friends and I can't get any. And then there would be the corresponding evaluative assessment to the effect that not having friends is bad. Under this kind of a circumstance, I think it's very useful to ask the first question that I teach my students to ask. I don't really teach them to ask it because they intentionally ask it all the time anyway. The first question that I kind of explicitly tag as an important question to ask: is this true? Now, I would hope that if someone is in the position of feeling sad because they think that they don't have any friends and can't get any, and because they think that not having friends is bad, I would really hope that if they pause and ask themselves, is this true? Is it true that I don't have any friends and that I can't get any? They might recognize that it's probably not true, or at least it might not be true, right? It's at least possible that even if you don't feel like you have many friends now, you can always get more friends. Now, sometimes, particularly some Stoic philosophers would say, you should also ask that about the evaluative component, right? Not having friends is bad. Is that true? And sometimes certain kinds of thinkers would say, no, that's not true. It's perfectly fine to not have friends. You should be completely independent, right? Or there is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I personally don't go that far. I mean, I personally think that not having friends is bad. And if I were to ask myself, is that true? I would have no trouble saying, yeah, that's true. Not having friends is bad. But in this instance, I mean, is it true that you don't have friends and you can't get any? I doubt it. Let's take another example. Suppose I think to myself, I feel scared. And suppose the rational underpinnings of that emotion is this particular person might not like me. And then the assessment that this person not liking me would be bad. Here, I think it is appropriate to ask of that evaluative component, is this true? Because is it true that this person might not like me? Yeah, it's completely possible that someone, even if I like them, might not like me for whatever reason. One of the things I heard once that really helped me deal with this was, no matter how delicious and juicy a peach is, some people just don't like peaches, right? So even if there's nothing wrong with me, even if I'm a perfectly fine peach, some people just don't like peaches. So yeah, it might be the case that someone might not like me. But is it the case that that particular person not liking me would be bad? Why? Maybe not. I mean, maybe other people would like me. Maybe people that I like at least as much would like me. So it might be disappointing, but is it really horrible? Maybe not. So, moral of the story. I think a very positive way of dealing with one's feelings is, first, figuring out what the feeling is, then figuring out what the factual claim that undergirds the feeling is, then figuring out what the evaluative claim that undergirds the feeling is, and then asking of one or both of those things, is it true? Might very well be the case that one or both of those things is not true. Might it be the case that they are true and the bad feeling is justified? Yeah, I think sometimes. Sometimes things are just lousy and it's appropriate to feel bad. But I also think that sometimes things aren't as lousy as we think they are. And thinking of the way we feel in this way can help us to lighten our internal mood somewhat. Anyhow, hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later. See you next time. Bye-bye.